Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So, got a little behind this morning because I had to pressure wash my truck because it's going to my uncle's shop to get a rear end put in it because we don't have shop space to do it. So he volunteered. He said he'd put a rear end in it. So Uncle Doug's going to be doing that for me. So, anyways, coming back in the shop, Dad and Dad's strength's been working in here while I was outside pressure washing. So Dad got the proper nut put on the cam, got it torqued, got the, he put some Loctite on the nut, and he also put the new lock tab on it and folded it over the way it's supposed to be done. So everything is done inside this cover. So we can put this cover on now. In fact, we're working on getting that cover ready. So I took a Scotch-Brite wheel, cleaned it all up, and this is the new gasket for it. And it's like a puzzle. So we've got to put it all together. What we're going to do is we're going to glue it to this cover, and I'm going to make some alignment dowels, and we are going to carry the cover over with the gasket glued to it, and we'll put some dowel pins in the tractor and just slide the cover in, and before we put it against the tractor, we'll glue it on the tractor side also, so we have a good seal here. So come over here. Dad got the pulley wheel put back all on this morning, but we haven't put the clutch back in it because we're going to do a video on putting the clutch in and setting the clutch up and all that. So that's all back together. The clutch shaft is back in. We got it tightened up. Originally it was really loose. So what we done was Dad tapped the bushing down in deeper and put another bushing in there with it and cut off the rest of the bushing that was sticking out. So now it's got a lot of support and it's down past the little bit worn spot on the clutch shaft. So it's good and tight now. So, and another thing is, if you've got one of these old 2-cylinders and you leave it set outside, make sure you cover up this clutch shaft somehow, because there are no seals in here that seal rainwater from getting down in this housing. So, little tip if you've got one. So, we're going to get started getting this gasket glued on and pieced together, because like I said, it's a puzzle, so it only goes a certain way. Yeah, I think. Yeah, like that. Oh, that's going to be fun because that's out in midair. How are we going to do that one?
Glued on the tractor.
Yeah. And we'll have to see. We'll see what we can do with it. But see, it's just like a puzzle. So we're going to actually dry fit it first to make sure that it all fits before we put it on. And if anybody's wondering how the shutoff works for the hydraulic pump, all it does is it moves that tab, and that tab pushes the gear out so that it shuts the hydraulic pump off. So there's not much in there. So that's the on position, and that's the off position. Yeah, right? Yeah, that's because the gear's spring loaded in and out.
True story.
Okay, so we're going to get going and see what we can get done today. Okay, so now that the cover's got the gasket glued on it, I took some 7/16 bolts and I cut the heads off. I'm going to make some just alignment dowels here just to hang the cover on. Oops, switch hands. just to hang the cover on so we can slide it straight in with that gasket on it. So Dad's right now in the process of gluing the tractor side of the gasket, and we'll carry it over here and we'll get her slid on. That's the only problem is that. There we go. Damn it. Okay. Get that. Okay. Fingers out of there. Not going on that one doll. Where is it? What are we stuck on? Put it back up. Put in this bun. Careful. Oh, here's the problem. With it stuck behind the hydraulic lines. Well, we got the side cover put on. Wasn't very much fun because it hits back here on these hydraulic lines when it goes back in. So you got to kind of tip it, go in, and then get the shaft through the hole. But we got it on. It's all done. So now we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, we're going to start putting the crankshaft thrust washers in. This one goes in first. Snaps in a groove. Crankshaft thrust washer plate goes in here. There's a groove there. That goes on the end of the crankshaft in a keyway basically and locks in place. Spacer. Now we have our spacer. We need to lube that O-ring a little bit. So there's an O-ring inside of here that we need to lube up just a little. We're just going to smear a little grease on it so it slides on the crankshaft easy. This goes out. Yeah. Okay, so we got this started on there. It's a bear because there is an O-ring in here, and you got to get that started over the crankshaft. So now we can go ahead and push it. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I'll tap that on the plastic hammer. The rest of the way on the brass punch.
Hold that in there, please.
So now that takes care of the end-plate and the crankshaft once the oil slinger housing is all on. Because the oil slinger housing has the other, the other thrust washer. Okay, so the oil slinger housing is all back in. We bolted it all in. We didn't get video putting it back together because it's a lot of stuff to hold all at once. The camera's in the way because the thin paper gasket and the shim that's on the housing But the other thrust washer for the crankshaft, I went ahead and I put a little grease on it to get it so it'd stick into this housing and wouldn't fall off while we were putting it back together. So this is all back together now. There's no in-play in the crankshaft anymore. Everything's tightened back up. That O-ring that you've seen us put in the oil slinger itself, basically, that we don't think was even in there when we tore it apart because we didn't see it anywhere. So by the book, that needs to be in there, so it's back in there now. So everything in here is perfectly right. We got our cam. Everything's tight up here. As you can remember from the videos before, you grab this and really wiggle it around. Well, now everything's tight up here. So the noise in the tractor is officially fixed now. So now we've got a lot of reassembly ahead of us. Well, I'm going to reseal this cover and put it back. So I got a new cork gasket here, and I'm going to glue it just to be safe.
I think we need to clean that or pressure wash it.
I'm not going to put a whole lot on it, just a little bit to make it tacky. Okay. Now we don't want to tighten it super tight because it is cork. Should be good. Well, we're back from lunch now, and we're going to start getting the governor housing put back on. We got the governor housing that we got to put back on, the fan shaft we got to put back in, and the power steering pump that's going to all go in at the same time. So it's going to be a lot happening all at once. So Clifton's here under no compensation, and he's helping us with this project now. And Dad Strength's over here in his paint booth, and as you can see, he's been really busy turning parts green. There's green stuff sitting around all over here. So now he's working on getting the valve cover done. So he sandblasted it really good. He's going to prime it up, and then we're going to get her let her dry and get that valve cover back on. And then after we get this governor housing back on, the engine part is pretty much sealed up. So pretty soon we're going to have a running tractor again. Not today. Maybe by Saturday we'll have a running tractor again. So getting pretty excited. So we were preparing to put the governor housing on. Clifton and I got it cleaned up where it sits, and you can tell Clifton's in the shop because the traffic light's plugged in. That's a sign of Clifton's around. So anyways, before we're gonna clean the governor housing up on the outside a little bit, I decided that I was gonna pull the fan drive out of it because it was already unbolted, and I started playing with it and I spun it, and it's like, oh, that don't sound good. So we got to do something with that, or you're gonna hear that noise when the tractor's running. You're not gonna hear it, but if you know what to listen for, you're gonna hear it. So we're going to tear this down and see what we need for bearings, and see what we can get. Hopefully we can get them somewhere today and be able to put this back together, because this all has to really go back together before the governor can go back in, unless we wanted to pull the radiator off, but we really don't need to pull the radiator off. so we're not going to mess with it. So this has to all go back together first. Okay, so I got the fan drive apart here, and these are a tapered ball bearing, which you don't see many of these anymore. The ball bearing on this side, which is the fan tube side, it fell apart when I got it out of there. It was in bad shape. So what I'm going to have to do now is the rest of these, I'll have to press these races off this shaft. There's a procedure in the book that tells you how to do it. But basically what I done to get this out was it was shoved through here like so. We took the spring and retainer off of this end, and then I just took a hammer and I just tapped this shaft out of the housing, and that bearing slides off the end of the shaft, of course. It's like that in there. So can't give you an idea how that comes apart. So now we're going to have to come up with some bearings, which those will probably have to be ordered. They look like they'll be special. So I just got to get these races out. There's a way you take a slide hammer and jerk them out. So I'm going to get working on that so I can get this cleaned up and ready for new parts. Okay, so now I've just about got this fan drive tore completely apart. Here's one of the bearing races out of it. It's severely pitted, and that was causing a lot of the noise. So I got one more bearing race here to knock out. So we're just going to go in through the top here. And we'll just take a hammer and we'll just tap it out just like so. So there's the other bearing race. The one on the shaft, what you'll have to do is you'll have to take it over the press, take the retainer clip off, press the gear off, and then you can come back and press the inner bearing race off. So there, it's totally tore apart. We're waiting on a bearing. We're going to have it overnight shipped. It'll be here in the morning, so I will be able to reassemble all this in the morning. John Deere had a bearing, but it takes two. So they went ahead and overnight aired a second one. So I'll be able to reassemble this tomorrow. Okay, so if you remember from the beginning of this video, we talked about we're going to go over and Uncle Doug's going to help me work on my rear end of my truck. Well, we're over here now and we tore it all apart. And somehow, not sure where the oil went, but there really wasn't much oil in this rear end. So it's junk. It's trashed. So this is what it all looks like in there. You can see the pinion was eaten into the carrier, so it's junk. And what we're going to do now is we're actually going to take the rear end out of the truck, and I'm going to go get a takeout rear end and just put back in it, whole rear end. Just take the U-bolts off, drop it out, swap it out, and be done with it. So it's not what I wanted to do, but shit happens, I guess. So I guess I should have had a little better maintenance program, I suppose, and check that every 20,000 miles instead of every 50,000. So, but we really don't know where the oil went. I guess it went out a wheel seal or something. So anyways, it's all right. We'll fix it and go on. Okay, so we got the rear end out of the truck. It's not under there anymore. So, oh, here's another shop cat for you. This is Louie. This is Uncle Doug's shop cat. He's about like Wilson. Runs around the shop. He's more lovable than Wilson, though. So anyways, now we're going to head back to our shop for the night and finish a few things, and then it's time to go home. Well, we're back at our shop now, and I was going to reassemble the power steering and fan pump tonight, put the fan all back on it, but the paint's still tacky, so I'm not even going to go there. I don't want fingerprints all over it. So anyways, kind of got a little sidetracked this afternoon. Could have done a few more things, but didn't get to them. I guess I could have put that governor housing back on. I didn't have to put that shaft back in it at the moment. But anyways, we had some fun this afternoon. We got the new drone out, yes, Dirt Grain and Steel has a Maverick Pro 2 drone now. So it's going to be sweet. We can take drone footage. It's got active track on it. So now I can follow the excavators around. I can follow myself around from the sky. It's going to be pretty sweet. So stay tuned for some drone footage. I know a lot of you have suggested I get a drone. Finally, I pulled the trigger on getting one, and now we have one. So it's actually over here I took one of these cases from Harbor Freight, and I made a case for it. So let's see if I can get it open. So there it is, DJI Maverick Pro 2 with a smart controller. I can run it all from the controller. I can see everything the drone sees from the controller. Pretty damn cool. So I can't wait to start getting this out and shooting some video footage with it, especially when we get back to work. And field work and harvest are going to be awesome with this. So think about it, being able to see the L2 gleaner going through the field, 50 foot away from it, 25 foot higher than it. I think it'd be pretty cool to see. So it's really going to add to the magic of the channel, and it's great to have it. So, and we're going to do our own crop scouting and stuff like that with it. So I'm not going to do anything commercial with it or anything like that. It's going to be for our personal use. And we're also going to use it to photograph sausages, flowers when they start growing and all that too for her flower farm. So it's going to be a real cool addition to the channel. So anyways, thank you all for watching. I'm going to head home now. I'm pretty tired. Had a long day. Got a lot of stuff done. Doesn't look like we got a lot done, but we did get a lot done today. Dad's Strength got a lot of paint work done. Got a lot done on the tractor. Actually, behind the scenes, Dad put a new water pipe in the one water jacket for the 720. Basically, just got a piece of heavy exhaust pipe and made a whole new water pipe for it, because here's the old one. As you can see, the end of the water pipe was pretty pitted. So Dad decided to replace it. So anyways, if you liked what you've seen on this episode of Dirt Grain Steel, please give me a like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I thank each and every one of you for your continued support and continue to watch me. I really appreciate that. I can't really stress how much I appreciate it. I never thought I'd get this far in YouTube, and I'm having a blast with it. And I'm really enjoying all the questions and comments. Even though it takes me a while to get to them, I'll eventually get to them. But takes quite a bit of work to have a YouTube channel. It's kind of like it's like having a part-time job, really. So I go home at night and I work on videos. I sit in my big beanbag chair and edit videos. That's what I do all night. So it's time consuming. I mean, it's a commitment to get this far in the YouTube world, and I'm glad I started this. I've met a lot of awesome people along the way, and really enjoy it. So anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Wilson, say good night. Can you say good night, Wilson? Say good night. Oh, and also I bought a complete 12-volt conversion kit for the MC. So hopefully that'll be here by Monday. So we're going to convert the whole tractor to 12-volt, get rid of the 6-volt charging system. It's going to be pretty cool. So we'll do videos on that when it comes. So anyways, I'll see you all later.